On the 3rd of August, Alibaba shipped Qwen3.8-Max, 2.4 trillion parameters, a million tokens of context, text, images, and video in. And across half a dozen outlets, it was reported as open source. So I did the only thing that actually settles that question. I opened the model page. This is a file about one word, and whether it was earned, the word is open. Start with what is real, because a lot of it is. 2.4 trillion total parameters and a mixture of experts, about 95 billion active on any given token, a 1 million token context window. Text, images, and video in, available globally through Alibaba Cloud and through Qwenwork. None of that is in dispute. $2 per million input tokens, 6 per million output. Against Opus 5, that is about 40% of the input price and 24% of the output. So anything that writes a lot sees the gap compound. But price per token is not price per task. A cheaper model that needs 3 attempts costs more than an expensive one that lands it first time, and nobody has that ratio yet. Which brings us to the reporting. Data Economy's headline on launch day read, Alibaba unveils open source Qwen3.8-Max. Others said largest model yet and left it there. But available and open are not synonyms. An available model is a service you rent on the vendor's terms for as long as they offer it. An open weight model is an artifact you hold, run locally, audit, and keep after the API is deprecated. So we opened the official Qwen organization on Hugging Face on the 6th of August. There is no Qwen3.8-Max. There is no 27B, the smaller checkpoint promised alongside it. There is no license, so nobody knows yet whether this ship's permissive or restrictive. The newest things in the organization are speech recognition checkpoints from about 2 weeks earlier. A search on the 4th returned only third-party distills. Be precise about what this is. It is not an accusation. Alibaba said weights shipped the week of the 10th, and that date has not passed. The model was real, available, and by several measures, very good. The gap is not between Alibaba and the truth. It is between a promise to publish and a publication, and it is the coverage that collapsed the two. There is a second place the same pattern shows up. On Arena, it became the highest ranked Chinese model for text. That is a genuine milestone, and it deserves saying plainly. It also still sits behind several Anthropic models on the same board, second in the world for vision, behind a Fable 5 variant, fourth on the front end, Code Arena. And we have been here before, 3 weeks ago. In July, Alibaba previewed this model as second only to Fable 5, and the stock rose 3.5%. The first blind third-party benchmark, a day later, put it behind Moonshot's Kimi K3. A vendor's ranking of its own model is worth approximately nothing until somebody else runs it. And here's the part that matters most. Without weights, nobody outside Alibaba can run this on their own hardware, against their own evaluation set, with their own seeds. Every number anyone has quoted comes from a hosted API on the vendor's own infrastructure. That is not an accusation either. It is a hard limit on what any of these figures can mean, and it disappears the moment the checkpoint lands. So here's the method, and it takes 10 seconds. When a model is announced as open, do not read the coverage. Open the organization page and look for a checkpoint and a license. That is the whole test. This week, a 2.4 trillion parameter model was reported as open source across half a dozen outlets while its model page was empty, and it happened because nobody clicked. The full file is at qwen3.8max.novcog.us.com.